Okay. Nope, come here. We got it on my phone. But it's not letting me... That's weird. It's not letting me turn. Okay. Oh, there we go. Come on. Yes. Okay. We got it through the phone.
Okay. Are we live now?
We are now live.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened, but we will get to the bottom of that. My name is Jillian.
Would it be better if we turned that sideways, the phone, and maybe put it up higher? Oops. Sorry, we're just trying to rotate your device.
Okay, there we go. We got that a little bit better. So,
You can't turn your phone while live.
Oh, I can't?
I don't know, it just said that.
Oh, so then I guess... Here we go.
All right.
All right.
Well, here we are.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Jillian. I am partner with Canine Complex and Friends. I'm also have my own dog training business, the Island of Misfits Dog Training, and we are partnering with Canine Complex and Friends. I'm also the training assistant here with Janine.
And I'm Janine, certified dog behavior consultant, owner, trainer at Canine Complex. And our title for today is Dog Evolution, but really it's more about what makes a dog, how is a dog, what are dogs in our world, what do they mean, how did they get here, and what are differences between different kinds of the ways dogs live out in the world. So first of all, dogs are domesticated animals. What's interesting about dogs and cats, I found out today, cats is the same, but what's interesting is that the belief is that dogs, as well as cats, were not domesticated originally by people for a purpose, but basically domesticated themselves. In other words, started living alongside human settlements, or even nomadic people, started living with them and following along with them, and surviving off of human refuse and waste. And that was a niche that dogs were able to exploit because no other animals had lived that close to humans and in that kind of a way. So, we have different people, different scientists, geneticists, believe that dogs, the kind of going belief is that dogs evolved from wolves. But there's also the belief that dogs evolved from a previous common ancestor between dogs and wolves. So another species of canid that existed before dogs and potentially before wolves that split off into dogs and wolves. That's personally what I believe, but I think there's no definitive answer on that.
I would agree. I mean, I know there's a lot of research there and everything. I know when I was in dog training school, and they talked about the criticalization of wolves versus the critical socialization period with dogs. And wolves had a shorter critical socialization period than dogs. And that was their argument to say that, dogs didn't really evolve from wolves. I think there was another reason too of like, you know, taming and the versus of taming and domestication. And taming is more like the wildlife is kind of like used to you. Domestication is more of like you are just kind of you train this dog, and this dog is fully dependent on you. But also, I mean, there's an experiment with the Dimitri Belviv foxes, which has been in biology classes and along with so many other like college classes as well, with this man having a bunch of foxes and tameness over time, and they developed some domestication traits like floppy ears, the pilot coat and everything.
Do you know how many generations it took for the foxes to be domesticated?
I bet it took a lot.
Actually, it was only a couple.
Oh, really?
See if
Okay.
if you can get that information there.
Yeah.
But it was actually very quickly that over
Piebald, that's the coat, yes.
of a couple of generations that it took for those foxes to be domesticated.
Yes. 4 to 10, it says.
Yep.
According to Google, it says 4 to 10.
Yeah, and 4 is not very many, and in the life of a fox, 10 is not very many either.
Right.
So there's also some research out there on whether there's a domestication gene, because there are some animals, like tigers, for instance, that domestication has just proven to be, attempts at domestication have proven to be impossible. So there's some research out there that is looking for genetics. Can you look that up and see if you can find, I don't know the status of that research at this point in time, but is there a domestication gene? Not in dogs. Is there a gene? Is there a domestication gene? Just and remove dogs. Domestication gene. Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
the collection. Let's see. Such as reducing flight responses and aggressiveness, which is really what you want for domestication. And that was one of the arguments with wolves, that wolves weren't really dogs with the traits. And
well, we'll look into that and get back with some details on that, because I know that was a number of years ago that I saw that, so I don't know if that research has gone anywhere. But, so, in the modern day, what are dogs? They are the species known as Canis familiaris, meaning domestic dog. There are between, I'm going to look up exact numbers here, between 700 million and 1 billion dogs on the planet. Dogs domesticated themselves between 20 and 40,000 years ago, and that's our best guess as to when this happened.
yes.
It easily could have been longer ago, but that's what the information we have suggests right now.
Yes. And another theory is that dogs were scavengers, and with the garbage piles that we had, that over time the dogs would slowly go to these garbage piles and then get used to the human presence, and then if humans, went ahead and adopted some of these dogs, that is a theory. Some have argued that there wasn't enough garbage for them to eat. There's a lot of interesting theories that are about canine evolution, and you could definitely dive into it so much more, and I absolutely love talking about this. Also, if you guys have questions, you can list them in the comment section, and we'll go ahead and stop and answer your questions.
And that's what I was referring to as the niche being alongside human beings was a previously untested area for animals. No animals had ever done that before.
Correct.
And the dogs exploited that niche, and that's how they became domesticated by living alongside humans, living alongside their waste, and eventually, as time went on, human beings bred for specific traits to do jobs. And what we have in this day and age, we have, terriers that hunt vermin. We have gun dogs. We have guard dogs. We have herding dogs. So all these different breeds, modern breeds that we have now, are basically created by humans to perform a job for human society.
And I would also like to add, with golden doodles, we're still doing it because we are breeding with a golden retriever and a poodle, and we're getting a lot of doodles out there. So because we have crossed, with the Leonberger, for example, that's been crossed with the Newfoundlands or another breed over time, I believe, and then that's how we got the Leonberger. So it's a lot of crossing of different dog breeds and everything along the way too, to get, farming, hunting vermin, or police dogs, and a lot of working dog breeds as well.
So when we're looking at the that 700 million to a billion dogs in the world, what does that look like? In fact, only 20% of all those dogs, that billion dogs, 700 million to billion dogs, are breeds and have ever or will ever live in a home. 20%. That means of a billion, if it was a billion, 800 million dogs are not pets. They are not breeds. They are not pets. They never have been breeds. They live their own independent life alongside of humans, but not controlled by humans. Mm-hmm. They find their own food. They have their own economy, their own ecology. They typically become friendly with people and can be manipulative towards people to try to get resources from them, but are not pets. 800 million dogs out of the 1 billion on Earth are not any sort of breed or any sort of pet. And that's a concept that it's very important to me, and it's very, very hard for a lot of people to wrap their head around that. Those are the dogs that evolved from the original dogs and still live the same lifestyle. Genetically, they are very similar to the original dog.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do have a question. So we got one from Margaret. In the beginning, were dogs pretty much all the same size, etc.?
Yes. As dogs started to become domesticated, they begin to look like the natural dog phenotype. What that means is they're a lighter color, basically tan in color, pointy upright ears, pointy nose, longer legs, about, say, 20 to 30 pounds. There can be some differences in color, but they generally look like the same sort of dog. If you look at, I don't know if we can add a picture, can we, or not?
I can probably look up which one do you want?
Just a picture of a village dog.
Okay. I'm bend the screen. Which one? Like this one?
No.
Let me go to images.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know, like that, maybe.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to just kind of zoom into it.
If we can.
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of like
So that's the light colored dog. And again, there's different sizes and different. Okay, that's fine. It's not ideal. I was hoping we could maybe post it on there, but that's okay. We can post some on the Facebook page later on.
Yes.
But these are. Yes, they looked all very, very similar. And they still look very similar today. They're the tan color, slight build, longer legs, short coat, pointier nose, not a lot of extreme color variation, but there can be some different things like piebald, different spots, different things like that. And that's how they evolved. They still, the majority of those village and street dogs still look pretty much the same to this day. And one of the things that we see happening a long time is certain populations of dogs that will travel with the humans that they live near, and they may become isolated in, like, on an island, or they went over the Bering Land Bridge, and then when that was gone, they became isolated in different parts of the world. And what happens is they, because of physical isolation, ecological isolation, so on an island perhaps, or mountains, and they start to develop traits over time that are suited to those particular spaces that they live in. And those then become what we call a land race, meaning that they evolved in isolation from other breeds and developed to look in particular ways, to have a particular phenotype and potentially different body traits, internal structural traits that are suited to living in any given environment. So a dog that gets isolated in an area in Africa is going to end up looking different to a dog that is isolated in, say, Alaska. North and South America, one of the land races is the Xolo, which is predominantly a hairless dog. So that evolved to be hairless on its own without specific breeding, without controlled breeding, because of being isolated in the particular area it lived. The Vietnamese Ridgeback, which I have, is the oldest ridged breed, and one of only three, along with the Thai Ridgeback and the Rhodesian Ridgeback. And as we have another comment about Alaskan Huskies versus Siberian Huskies, absolutely evolved in different places and developed different looks.
Yes.
And both Huskies, as opposed to, again, a hairless dog, very different looks for the areas in which they were. The Vietnamese Ridgeback, incidentally, evolved independently on the island of Phu Quoc, hence why they're called the Phu Quoc. And complete isolation. They still have a large population of free living Ridgebacks on the island of Phu Quoc in Vietnam. Then over time, humans take over these breeds and start to or these land races and start to selectively or artificially, I guess it depends on how you look at it, because it's artificially breeding because it's not happening solely under the control of nature, but yet it's selectively breeding because humans are making choices about what to breed, but it still is artificial. It depends on the way you look at it. But anyways, that's how these early breeds were created. A lot of them were Sighthounds, Spitz type dogs in the Norse countries. Certain types like in India that have evolved, and other Asian village dogs, North American village dogs. The Xolo was created into a breed, American Hairless. The Chihuahua actually was a land race at one point in time. But then human beings get involved and start to preserve these breeds and turn them into a recognized breed with a very specific genetic signature that can be determined by DNA testing.
Yeah.
So when we see, one of the things that I find really interesting, I don't think there's a lot of research on this, but this is my opinion from having worked with a number of different types of free-living dogs. And what I see when you have free-living natural populations, so like Indian street dogs, American street dogs, Asian, Arab, anywhere where there's populations of these natural dogs living and breeding on their own, there is research that shows that the amount of aggression that occurs on a daily basis amongst these dogs is almost non-existent. There's very, very little aggression. What aggression you do see is ritualized behaviors that evolve to be part of the dog's communication repertoire. So you will have dogs that will be giving distance creating signals, barking, growling, lunging, whatever, and those are often misinterpreted as aggression when in fact what they are is means that the dogs use to avoid conflict and aggression. This research listed on different populations of village dogs, listed all the activities that they engage in a day. Relaxation was the top, the most prominent thing that they did every day, and aggression is down near the bottom.
Sorry.
And so when we see these populations, you don't honestly see, unless a dog is sick, you don't honestly see a lot of aggression in village dog populations. They actually live very comfortably alongside human beings and don't cause a lot of trouble, and actually have evolved in such a way that if they were removed, the ecosystem would be affected. You would see things like return of rabies to a great extent and other encroaching more on human population. Mm-hmm. You would see other species of animals growing out of control if you were to remove the village dogs. They have a part in the ecosystem, and it keeps the whole entire ecosystem in balance.
Yeah. And if you think about it, if you think about the aggression being so low, they can get up and go wherever they want. They're not stuck in one space with the dog that they are having problems with, or there's a lot of resources. If they're fighting over resources like food, then there's other resources around. I mean, I've seen like a lot of street dogs in Costa Rica when I was there, like 2019, and there's like is like they can just kind of get up and walk away to their own will, you know.
Yeah. And that's exactly what their main ritualized aggressive displays are distance creating, and that is the first choice of a dog to handle conflict is to create distance, whether they run away or they chase away. It is very rarely to engage in fighting with another dog. Now, the other type of population of free-living dogs that we see, you hear reports of packs of wild dogs in different cities in the U.S. that attack other dogs or people that run together and are just potentially dangerous. My theory on that is because these dogs are mixes for the most part. They are mixed with a number of different breeds, often quite a few. Some of the most common breeds in these kind of mixes are pit bulls, chows, and cattle dogs. We see a lot of that. We see a lot of other breeds as well, but the main difference between a natural population is that these dogs are not a natural population. Members may have been free living for generations, for decades, well, not decades, but for long periods of time, and reproducing, but because modern breeds are bred to do different kinds of jobs, and the way that modern breeds have been selectively bred to do these jobs is primarily by human beings manipulating their prey sequence. So in a natural population of dogs, dogs are not true predators. They sometimes hunt, but usually scavenge. They do have the prey sequence from their wolf or common ancestor that they evolved from. So there is the prey sequence in their brain, encoded in their brain, but it is not typically completely active. For instance, you may see dogs, herding dogs, border collies will stalk. Hunting dogs will chase. Even when you have a breed of dog that is actively engaging in killing another animal, typically rodents by terriers, you will see they usually don't consume. They usually don't dismember and consume. You can get some really cool videos, and maybe we'll post one on the website too. But you can see some really cool videos of natural vermin control where small terriers are killing hundreds of rats. And their goal is to get the rat, kill it, drop it, and go for the next rat. They don't eat them. One of the reasons for that is because terriers are typically small so that they can reach into holes. So if they eat a rat, they're going to get full pretty quickly and they won't be able to kill endless amounts of terriers. Or, oh my God.
Rats.
The terriers won't be able to kill and consume endless amounts of rats if they eat them all. That won't work. So that is why they have been bred to not consume the rat. So the complete prey sequence is not finished in its entirety, is not happening in its entirety. But anyways, when you have breeds, modern breeds of dogs that have had their prey sequence manipulated in order to create certain working behaviors, and those dogs become free living, I think that's where we run into problems, where dog packs, dog groups, free living dogs can be dangerous, can kill wildlife, can kill farm animals, can kill other dogs, and sometimes groups of dogs going after humans. It's just not seen to the same extent with regular free living dogs. Mm-hmm. So, do you have anything else to add?
I was gonna ask, I think with feral dogs, so the same with landrace, because I know oh my god, I forgot when I learned about feral dogs, but it was the same thing. It was like having aggression towards humans, and with feral cats and feral dogs, those are a domesticated animal that has lived without human assistance all their lives, so then they have no contact with humans at all. So like the feral cats that we see around Buffalo, they haven't had a lot of human contact at all. So I think when you brought over about the aggression with people, that made me really think about the feral dogs with the aggression of people as well. Yeah. So it's kind of that same topic.
And feral is a word that it has a definition, and I am a little hesitant about using it because I think it creates a lot of controversy in what's going on. All dogs, all Canis familiaris will be right over.
Yes.
All Canis familiaris are domestic dogs. Mm-hmm. All of them. Whether they free range, whether they're natural, whether they're a breed. They are all domestic dogs. They are all domesticated. What a feral dog technically is one that had been living in some home or is offspring of a dog that had been captive in a home and reverts to living a wild, living life. I much prefer the word free living because it is more accurate. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we get a lot of I think it's a word I hesitate to use because I don't know if people understand exactly what it's referring to. So I tend to stick with the term free living.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I never thought of it like that before, so...
And that's just my opinion. A lot of people do use that word, and it is a legitimate word.
Right.
But,
yeah, absolutely, yes. So we are unfortunately out of time, but we do apologize for the technical difficulties. Thank you guys so much for standing by. We could probably do a second part of this because there's so much.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, maybe we'll do that for our next one.
We'll have to do that. So, thank you guys so much. Again, we are Canine Complex and Friends and Island of Misfits Dog Training, and we are both partnering. So if you see the same post or similar post from us, we are just partnering together. So you're like, that person's ripping off of it. Like, no. But yes, thank you guys so much, and we love the comments and the questions and everything. Questions are always welcome. So with that,
feel free to write questions on the Facebook page under the class, under the event notification, or this will eventually make its way to YouTube. Yep. You can ask questions there.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.